Long live play.
Hello and welcome to the 56th episode of Long Live Play, the number one Australian PlayStation podcast, full of our lukewarm takes and Khayl's mental breaks, hosted by myself, Govinda Whitehurst, and the little dog to my big dog, Mr. Khayl Adam. If you like what you hear, you can and should review us on Apple Podcasts or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at LongLivePod. Linktree there to other places that you can find us if you so wish. And with that out of the way, Khayl, how are you going for this, the sickest episode of Long Live Play we've ever made?
I'm sick. This must
Me
be
too.
a fucking sign of the end times, because me, the healthy, the one who is always hale and full of vigor, has been brought low by... it's not COVID. It's definitely a cold.
Yeah, I'm stress sick. Like I'm stressed, so I'm sick because of it. But I just have this cough that will not go away and hasn't gone away for like a week now. And it's a rough one too. Like, you know those coughs where like every now and again it sneaks up on you so bad that you kind of like almost vomit a little bit?
Well, no, except, yes, now. Like, honestly, I haven't been this sick in months, if not years. But literally that happened to me today. I was in my bathroom, like, just hacking. And I thought something was going to tear. This is what people want to hear, by the way, isn't it? Right up front.
Oh, well, no. Well, just everyone listening, I need you to know how many coughs I've cut out. Because I can guarantee there's going to be a lot of coughs getting cut out of this episode from both ends.
Speaking of both ends.
That's my wheeziness right now. It's just... Fuck.
But look, I'm alive. I've returned to you from Geelong, which is down in Victoria. It is a southerly place. It was actually pretty cool. Nice town. Wasn't what I was expecting at all. It was surprisingly built up. Had a good time, except it got to like fucking 4 degrees at one point, and I was so cold. And I think that's why I'm sick. Also the planes. Yeah. We had a great time, and then I came home and was immediately drowning in work. I'm starting to see the light, and then I speak to Govinda, and he is also drowning.
I'm so stressed out, dude. All I think about is work right now, and I can't. I've gone to the days where I got paid to do nothing but play games at home, and now I'm just busy all the time, and it's brutal.
It's fucked too. Like, it's my job to play video games in some respect, and I haven't again. Like, we're going to talk about it. I've played one thing, but that was for work, and
yeah. And I decided to finally build my PC, and now I don't have time to play it. That
was the smallest round of applause for you pulling the trigger on your rig.
From the smallest man.
Tell us about it. Tell us what's happened to you.
No, I just play. I play like there's so many games that I have now because I got Game Pass for $1 for 3 months. And so I have access to so many games that I only play them for maybe 15 to 20 minutes each before I swap to another game because I must have ADD of some sort.
I think this isn't something that's spoken about enough. Like, just the fucking sheer scale of what you could be playing is almost paralyzing. This was my problem with Game Pass.
It's a choice paradox.
Yeah, I downloaded like 40 games and just slowly started deleting them because I was like, I'm never going to play this. Like, why is it here?
Yeah. This is the downside of like these subscription gaming services, the PlayStation Plus premiums and the Xbox Game Pass is like, it's like Netflix. Like, I don't watch Netflix anymore because I get on there. I'm like, what the fuck do I watch? There's like 4 million things to watch on here, and I don't know what to watch, so I'm not going to watch anything. Yeah. I'm going to play a game, and then I go to play a game, and I look at Game Pass. I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Shit.
Did you try out Halo Infinite?
I did try out Halo Infinite. I couldn't get my DualSense to work on the Xbox app initially, so I was playing mouse and keyboard on it, which from what I can tell, there is a pretty heavy disadvantage for mouse and keyboard versus controller aim assist in Halo, so I didn't do fantastic, and I'm never good with the mouse and keyboard, so that really compounded my issues. But I've since figured out how to get my DualSense working on there, so I haven't really put too much time into it since. But at some point I'll go back to it. I'm going to be real with you, I just don't really care for first-person shooter single-player stories.
That's so weird, because I
Anymore.
kind of think that you do. As a quick aside, I'd just like to point out how fucking seamlessly you started talking about a fucking Xbox PC exclusive game.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you right now, I can talk to I was playing some Total War Warhammer 3 as well, which I know you're right into.
That's very exciting for me. That's very exciting.
Now, I got stupidly, I went onto Steam because there's a huge sale on Steam right now, and I got Age of Empires
Govinda.
2.
Oh, my sweet summer child. There's always a huge sale on Steam.
So I bought Age of Empires 2 for like $8, and then really quickly, almost within, I could probably actually get an exchange because Steam's good for that. I realized it's on Game Pass for nothing. I could have just got it for nothing, which is fine. And then I realized Age of Empires 4 was there, and I was like, well, I'm definitely getting Age of Empires 4. And so now I was playing a bit of that yesterday morning. The only time I play games essentially is like the hour before I start work.
Yeah, right. The calm before the storm.
And then I feel like I'm like stressing. I keep looking at the clock while I'm playing. I'm not enjoying it because I'm just like, can I get this in before I've got to start working? I don't know. And like, I don't know. It's a bit fucked at the moment. So yeah, I'm all over the place, and I've lifted my ban on talking about non-PlayStation games on what we've been playing. So
What I really want, realistically, is I want, like, not right now, but at some point, I want you to boot up Total War Warhammer 3, run a benchmark, and send me the results. That's what I'm interested to know.
Oh, okay, I can kind of give you... It's not going to be a proper benchmark. I didn't run the benchmark. I can just kind of tell you what I'm playing at, if you would like.
Yeah, go on.
So, initially, I didn't have a frame rate counter going when I first booted it up, and it was at 4K Ultra. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's crazy. And then I realized my GeForce NVIDIA like app, I can actually put up a frame rate counter. I went in there and it was running at like 30 frames a second at 4K Ultra. And I was like, all right, that's not fantastic. So essentially I had to drop it down to, I don't know the exact resolution, but like
2560. Or whatever
yeah,
it is.
probably 2560, whatever not 4K is, like half the 4K. A little
That's
bit
what
over
I do.
half. And then I put it up, and then it's all essentially on high from there, and I get a pretty locked 60 at that. And my monitor can't do better than 60, so everything I play at 60.
Pro tip for Total War specifically, go 2560, everything to Ultra, but turn shadows off entirely.
Okay.
Shadows, like, do so much to fucking bring
Yeah, that and
Yeah.
anti-aliasing seem to be pretty heavy hitters. I booted up Forza Horizon 5 just because I wanted to and I could. And I like it because it's a game that was designed for the Xbox Series X and is on PC as well. So when I booted it up, I was like, hey, so these are our recommended settings for you. And it was 4K Extreme, like beyond the Ultra settings. And I was like, oh. And so I did that, and it was running at a solid 60 frames a second. And then for some reason, halfway through, I got a error popping up being like, you're out of VRAM. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I've had that. I don't really understand what that means, but that's something.
It's the, you know, your graphics card will be like a 2080 Ti with 8 gigs of RAM. The VRAM is that RAM. It's the RAM on your actual graphics card. So I just turned some shadow quality down. I turned a little bit of stuff down just so it doesn't happen again. I haven't had it since. I just had this really annoying issue just with Forza where, by the way, who says Forza? Where's Forza? What is this?
I might say that, just as a fucking idiot.
Maybe it's the right way to say it. It just seems weird. There's no T in it, so Forza seems weird, but maybe it's an Italian thing. Anyway, I had this weird problem where my DualSense was connected, but it wouldn't recognize that as my input all the time. It would have all my keyboard inputs, and then if I hit any button on it, it would flash the buttons on my DualSense. And then this brings me to my main problem with PC, and as always has been, is that it's always a fuck around.
It is, but at the same time, it gets streamlined. Like, now I know what I gotta do every game. Like, I know my settings, I know what I need to do. Now that I understand big picture mode a little better and how to load up pre-existing configs for controllers, that's a game changer. Like, you can actually... Do you know about that?
No, I don't know about any of it. I actually
had
to download a Windows DS4 app so that I could use the DualSense in the Xbox app, because it doesn't natively support it, unlike Steam does.
It'll be your favorite thing in the world. Like, just on the back end of Steam, you can load button configurations for your controller, and it's rated by reviews, and they're just uploaded by the community. So like people that have weird controller setups, it's usually just rock solid. But like, you know, if you have a weird
it's fine.
way
Like Steam seems to have integrated it a lot better than the Xbox app. Like Xbox really doesn't seem to want you to use a PlayStation controller. Like they really make it difficult.
Yeah, fair. I
But
haven't
this
really tried.
Windows DS4 thing seems fine, and it seems to do the job. But anyway, I haven't fucking played my PlayStation pretty much since I got this on Thursday, and really I haven't played this since I got this on Thursday because I went straight to your house to take care of your little dog.
And he was alive when I got home, so that's
He was alive, and I know on the show last week I did tell you I wouldn't clean up the poop, but I did clean up a little poop.
I appreciate it. I cleaned up like 3 today.
Yeah.
He's always
He
pooping.
pooped right in your room. Yeah, it was pretty classic.
Fuck yeah.
He almost did the Amber Heard I was hoping he did. Because it was actually your side of the bed in the room. It was just on the floor, though, was the problem.
That's how you know something's out of sorts, when he's pooping in the room. Dogs are pretty good about not pooping where they sleep, and he, of course, sleeps in that room.
Exactly. And he didn't... I don't know if he did sleep in that room while you were gone, but anyway, he definitely bothered me in the morning in a real cute way, so it's okay. But while I was there... Now that we can move this along a little bit. While I was there, I was able to finish the Quarry, which we are going to talk about in full spoiler depth at the end of the episode. If you want to listen to that, you can. If not, I'd probably just end it when we get there. I also... PlayStation Plus Premium came out that same week, like right after we recorded almost, like the next day.
We'll talk about that at the end, too. There's a whole bit about
Well,
that.
I'm just bringing it up because while I was at your house, I downloaded Bee Simulator and My Friend Pedro off the service. And just very quickly, Bee Simulator, really bad. Don't play it. Delete that immediately. My Friend Pedro would have been good if I wasn't maybe a little bit inebriated.
Yeah.
And it was just required too much coordination that I was not able to provide. But it was funny and weird, and it reminded me of like Hotline Miami meets Elastomania.
As a banana man.
Well, you're a man, but there's something with bananas involved with it too.
I know nothing about this.
You need to watch it. Like Elastomania combined with Hotline Miami is very apt. Like it's a side-scroller platformer, and you just literally like you hit things and you start flipping in the air and rolling, and you've got 2 pistols and you're just dual wielding and killing everyone around you. And there's a lot of skill about the way that you jump and roll and stuff. Very Elastomania, if you remember this game that existed when I was in high school in like 2004.
I don't, actually. I don't know that.
Oh, it's like, that was when you were like it was like a bike and you had to like hook the wheel over a certain bit. Anyway, it was just think Trials.
Oh, okay, yep, I'm with you.
But more wacky, like more just elastic. And anyway, if anyone knows Elastomania, awesome. If not, look it up. And then beyond that, I only play PC games now, so this is going to be the last episode of Long Live Play.
What a way to go. Just subsumed by the PC master race.
Nah, it's fine. But I did realize that Final Fantasy XII was on PlayStation Premium, and I was like, maybe that's the next Final Fantasy that I go to. Like, maybe I'm just going to keep fucking that chicken.
You're just spoiled for choice, because I think it's on Game Pass, too. You can have this shit
I'd
anyway.
rather it on PlayStation.
I still do, too.
You know what I mean?
What
Yeah.
I
want trophies. If I can get trophies, the trophies are really the draw.
I really struggle with that, like, because even though PC is virtually superior in every way, like, the game is going to be cheaper, it'll run better and faster, and it's going to look
But it's
better.
on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, but ultimately, the siren song of the trophies usually wins out for me. Like, it usually wins out.
That's enough. I gotta get that trophy level up, dude. I'm pushing 400. I gotta really get there.
That's actually impressive. I'd like to compare that someday. Maybe we could go through our lists. Just
actually, interesting that you thought about this, because you didn't actually ask me how I'm going for once in the last, 5 episodes.
That's true.
Me and Emily are going to go to Tasmania in the last week of July, which means that at some point, Khayl and I are going to record what I would like to call an evergreen episode. That is not the normal.
It's what everyone calls them.
No. We coined that, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
It's almost like those trees. I don't know what it's called, but when the trees never go, change color in autumn. I don't know if there's a name for that specifically. But
autumnal.
No, it's evergreen, dude. They're evergreens.
Is a work that I like.
Dumb. So we're going to do that, and maybe we can incorporate that into it as well. Or we could pause right now and quickly have a look in our apps and see what we're at and go from there.
Let's do that really quickly.
So I'm a level 357.
Oh, that's not as high as I was expecting from you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a mighty 347.
But I'm 57, so I'm better by 10.
How about them platties?
31.
28.
Sneaking up on you. I still have one in the back pocket that I'm saving for the next time you get one, so I can just catch up again.
I do just need to pop a few and not fucking say a word to you until I've got like a few ahead of you.
A few ahead of me means you'd have to get like 6 platinums, and that's not going to just happen out of nowhere. We have a podcast where we talk about the PlayStation games we play every single week.
I am willing to go out on a limb and say this here, that when Persona 5 releases on PS5 in October, I will be platinuming that game. I'm positioned to, in fact.
Well, the real question is, will your save be able to be transferred? Imagine
we
if
don't
it
know.
wasn't able to.
In that case, I will not be platinuming Persona 5.
Anyway, randomly that's coming to Switch as well, which is really bizarre, but whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, so I feel like I'm better than you, and I'm glad that we said that we figured that out on the air.
Well, Govinda, I played through all of Disgaea 6 as a review for pushsquare.com, and let me tell you, this is a 7 out of 10 video game.
No, is this the Push Square rubric or the Long Live Play rubric?
Probably both, actually. Like, Push Square has a very low Metacritic rating. Like, they are notoriously
The
low
average
scorers.
score is low.
Yeah. Good game. I love Disgaea. Strategy RPG. It's crazy and zany. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's very, very, very over the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Honestly, not too much to say on it. Like, it was a good game. I enjoyed it for what it was, but like, I probably won't ever go back to it. This is like a weird game where you could kind of play it forever. It just sort of, I think the level cap is like 99 million, and it has...
Yeah, it's very random like that. Like, very... Like, you can do ridiculous and millions of damage points and...
Yeah, it does some cool things. Like, I kind of like that it leans into how ridiculous it is, and because it's set in the netherworld and it's demons and stuff, you're actively encouraged to cheat, and it gives you, like, all kinds of tools to do that. Like, you can lower the levels of enemies in a stage, or you can just, like, automate combat and just leave your PlayStation on and gain thousands and thousands of levels. And it encourages you to do all these things, like... You can do, there's like a dedicated cheat shop, and you can like fuck with sliders. So like, say you get 100% money experience items, you can like lower your item chance and money chance and just bump up experience. So like, you can fuck with like the internal rewards and things, and it's just cool. I like the way they do it. It's got like a weird little humor to it as well.
Okay, well, I played Disgaea 3 and it just never really did it for me. You know what I mean? I tried and I was like, I don't get it. It's just not for me.
Yeah. No, they gotta hit you. I played the first one at a really good time on my Vita, and I just fell down the rabbit hole with it. I loved it. It was so good.
I'm holding out hope for Vita 2. I am. I'm going to do it. I'm saying it right now.
My wife listens to this and she said I can't have one, but I want a Steam Deck more than anything.
Why?
Anything.
Okay. If it doesn't give me PlayStation trophies, I don't want it, dude. The PC was the only exception.
Oh, but I've got so many games, and there's so many like fucking nerdy RPGs I could have on
Can't
it.
you just...
And I already own them.
Play to your iPad?
Yeah, but I want
From
the
Steam?
Steam Deck.
Okay, whatever.
Steam Deck.
She will never let you get it, because when it comes out in Australia, it's going to be like $1,500.
I think they're 800, the base level.
In Australia? They're not even out yet.
I think so.
Anyway, let's move this shit along, Khayl.
Please do before I fucking drown in my own phlegm. Govinda, could I interest you in some quick fire news?
Sure.
We talked about it last week, but we have confirmation that Sony will not only be skipping Gamescom, they won't have a presence at Opening Night Live either. This is the live streamed show they do before the actual physical event kicks off. Not a huge deal, but, you know, there'll still be PlayStation games there, just not first-party ones.
Oh, okay. I wasn't really expecting them to be at any part of Gamescom when I found out they weren't going to be at Gamescom, so...
Yeah, it
Whatever.
just wasn't explicitly said, so some people were kind of holding out hope they might show up, but alas, no. Moving right along, Gotham Knights is going to be the biggest Batman game ever, which is a pretty big feat considering Arkham Knight was so big that you had to have a fucking Batmobile. Now, you and I are not really looking forward to this game as such.
No, not at all. Honestly, like, actively rooting against it. No, I'm kidding.
There wasn't much here, but in this story we did find out that there's going to be a bat cycle. Now, I'm not familiar with the
We
bat
already
cycle.
knew this.
Do we know about the bat cycle?
Yeah, they showed some gameplay. Everyone has access to the bat cycle, regardless of who you're playing. I just can't. I don't know what it is, but this just looks so average. This looks like the CW Batman, like, shows. You know what I mean? Like,
They are bad.
it looks like a teen drama Batman, and it just doesn't do it for me at all.
Sometimes I'm here for the teen drama, but not in the Bat family, you know what I mean?
In the Wheel of Time.
How dare you invoke my favourite book series name at this inopportune
No, I'm
moment.
talking about the cool TV series that it has the same name.
Don't ever talk about that again. I watched one episode and I was so fucking disgusted. I just hung my head in shame.
Should have given it more of a chance, dude.
Never. Govinda, this surprised me. Again, I think this was known, but it was news to me. So when Overwatch 2 comes out, it's going to be free to play, and it will literally replace the original SKU on your console. Like, your Overwatch game will just switch, and suddenly it'll be Overwatch 2. Did you know that?
No, I didn't realize it was going to just automatically take over. Like, it's going to just be... So, essentially, it is a patch.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2
yeah.
is a patch of Overwatch. Cool.
But again, it's free to play, so it's like, it doesn't really affect anyone. And I guess that's a way they can just be like, well, all the same characters are here. Same
Are
stages.
they? I haven't really looked into it at all, although I do think that the beta starts, I think, this weekend.
Yeah, and the full game comes out in October. Like, this is not... I'll play this. We liked the
Oh, no, I
original.
totally. I really liked the original Overwatch, and I think they ironed out some issues with it originally, because now they do the roll queue. So there's only one tank, 2 DPS, and 2 healers.
That's cool. And now I'm just reading the Push Square write-up. It's no longer 6v6, it's 5v5, which I don't know.
Yeah. It used to be 2-2-2. So 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 healers, and now it's 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 2 healers. The problem I always had with Overwatch is, one, roll queue was good because your teams were a bit more balanced, and that was rad. But I never played DPS because it was impossible to find a game within 20 minutes of a DPS character. And so I always played tank or healer. And now, based on tank being less available, I'll probably just be a healer again forever.
It's funny,
which
that
is
was
always my thing.
That's like a common thing, because that was exactly my experience with Final Fantasy XIV. Like, you just cannot be a DPS, because everyone is a DPS. But if you're a tank, you just fucking join top of the queue every time. It's
Well,
a
that
good
was
time.
like that in Overwatch when they first introduced roll queue with the 2-2-2. But now there's only 1 tank, and I was like, okay, well, Jesus, I guess. Fuck
Wait,
me, right?
Did you say 2 healers?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of... You would have thought 2 DPS. 1 heal.
There is 2 DPS.
Oh, sorry, 5. Yep.
1-2-2. 1 tank, 2 DPS, 2 healers.
I'm all there today. I'm all there.
Yeah. It's kind of nice too, because depending on what you do, you literally just go, okay, your job as a healer is just to heal the tank. Just keep the tank alive. That's the only job you have. And the other one can deal with everyone else.
Yeah, right.
So in the original Overwatch, if there was a 1 tank situation, you just have Mercy healing that tank, and then Lucio healing everyone else, and you're Gucci.
Next up, Govinda, how would you like to know a little bit more about the upcoming Horizon TV show?
If I must.
It's called Horizon 2074. It will include production talent from shows like The Boys and your favorite, The Expanse. It's
Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
It's pretty cool. It's filming in Toronto, and we know all this because journalist Jeff Grubb actually did the work and like looked at fucking castings up in Canada and like who was doing what and all kinds of things. So it's
So much shoots in Canada, and I'm assuming there's a lot to do. There's like something to do with taxes or something. I'm sure that is causing that to happen. Honestly, you instantly piqued my interest from almost nothing
to a little
like
bit more.
5, because The Boys is pretty sick, and The Expanse is also pretty sick.
May I peek it ever so slightly further?
Take me out to dinner first.
Jesus Christ. We know that the story will take place across 2 timelines, and it will not be a rehash of the game. Presumably, it won't even feature Aloy. It will just explore the world, different characters.
It's more appealing to me. I'm glad they're not rehashing it, because as someone who's played the game, that's not appealing to me.
No.
I assume they'll do like the destruction of Earth and the post-destruction of Earth is the obvious choice there.
I actually did look this up, but I'm hazy on it. I believe, like, our timeline, everything fucks up in, like, 2064. So, like, 2074 might be, like, when it's all fallen to shit.
Okay. When the robots are actually taking over and making
No.
again.
I don't think they're there at all. So, like, that's when all the environmental shit's going on. The robots don't emerge until, like, hundreds, if not a full... Like, Aloy is a full 1,000 years later. Like, after the robots have, like, regrown everything and, like, fucking grubbed in the mud like they do.
Okay. For sure. Okay, well, we'll see. I'm sort of interested, but I also don't watch a lot of TV lately, so who knows?
This is one of those interesting situations where, like, if they don't cast Lance Reddick, it's going to be such a fucking travesty because he is an actor. He is, like, a recognizable person. And, like, I don't know, maybe his character can work in there somehow. But,
Well, it's just the wrong timeline, though.
well, in the future timeline, he could be a part of it. But what is he going to do?
I guess we don't know what the future timeline's going to be, so that's possible.
And if Aloy isn't in it... Actually, I don't
You
know
mean
that Aloy...
he plays Silas, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that Aloy isn't in it, but they're not specific. We don't have that hard facts.
Well, we'll see what it is when we see it.
Oh, also, that's coming to Netflix. Important to say.
Oh, okay, interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that, but continue.
Now, Govinda, I need you to pause and...
I've watched it.
What? Oh, you've seen it. Even better.
Yep.
Tell me what your thoughts are about this Elden Ring live-action trailer number 2.
Yucky. Why is it there? Why does it exist? What is the purpose of it? Can you explain that to me?
I don't know. So this features Israel Adesanya, who I believe is a very famous UFC fighter. So right up front, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. But this man is in this Elden Ring ad, and it's so weird. He's doing like a cosplay. He's talking of like trying to get you pumped up to become.
It's like an amp up, like hype video where he's like, when you fall down, you just gotta get back up. And I'm like,
yes,
what?
Be sharper than their swords is what he says. Hit harder than their hammers.
I just don't understand, like, why is Elden Ring doing live action trailers at all, and why is there another one coming out months and months after the game's release?
And specifically, even more bizarrely, like, this is an accolades trailer, so it's like, it's Israel pumping you up, it's a little bit of gameplay, and then it's like review scores from the different outlets like thrown up. It's like such a weird...
Yeah, the quotes coming up.
Yeah, it's like such a weird brag 4 months after launch. Like, normally you get this like a week or two after a game comes out or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, one, I didn't even see the first live action trailer, but why does this exist? I don't understand, and I never will.
It's worth watching as well. It features Ming-Na Wen, and it's like a similar situation. Like, she's in her training dojo, and it's the same thing. She's trying to seek the Elden Ring. It's very...
All right. And it's like not new gameplay trailer, like gameplay, and either it's the exact same stuff you've seen before, but then just with like the IGN review scores over the top. It's bizarre.
Very bizarre. But Govinda, now it's time for the news we care about. We got a bunch of news this week regarding Final Fantasy XVI, most of which comes from an interview given by producer Naoki Yoshida. Firstly, we learned that there will be some kind of support system coming to the game, aimed at assisting players who aren't confident with action combat systems. Whether this will be some kind of lower difficulty, a simplified combo setting, or something else entirely remains to be seen. Next, we learned that 16 will feature a party of characters fighting alongside protagonist Clive, dispelling our fears. However, we also learned that players will only be able to play as Clive, and other party members would be AI controlled, in a change from the system we saw in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally, it was revealed that there would be no American English accents in the game. Instead, characters would instead have British English accents, so as better to suit the medieval fantasy setting. Strangely, Yoshida cited the reason for this being he thought American fans would be angry if American accents were used. Now, there's a lot there, Govinda, and we're going to go through
Really
it.
quickly, before we do go through it, I just want to throw something else in there, because in a new interview with IGN, producer Naoki Yoshida talked about Final Fantasy XVI and confirmed it will not be an open world game.
That's good. I wonder, like, this might have all came from the same interview and I just missed that, but,
Very possibly, but that is good because I think that was like the weak part of 16, sort of, but I like open world
15.
aspects. Oh, sorry, 15. I like open world aspects. Like Final Fantasy 12 has some cool open world aspects, I think, but
Is this right? Thank you.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway.
I'm virtually ready to be done with open world, unless like someone can do something interesting like Elden Ring did. Like if it's just the cookie cutter fucking Ubisoft model, I'm done with that. It holds nothing.
I like the. We talked about it with the original Final Fantasy VII last week, but I like the idea of like the open world with a linear path kind of vibe, you know? Like, you are just meant to go here, but there's other things you can do. Like in 12, the reason the open world's there is so you can go do hunts and find, like,
and that's great.
Random shit around, you know? And I like that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I just mean like fucking
The
Assassin's
Ubisoft.
Creeds.
Yeah.
Or even like Horizon, you know, realistic. Even like Days
Well,
Gone.
that is, in my mind, that isn't Ubisoft open world RPG.
They are. They like if it's got like fucking outposts to be cleared and like lookout points, that's what I hate.
I think the lookout points is the defining feature, you know? Like if I've got to climb something and then it reveals the area of the map, that we've hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. So I need something. I mean, I'm going to play these games because I'm gonna, but...
So let's go through this bit by bit. The first bit with the support system for people who are not confident with the action combat system. That's kind of what they have in 7 Remake, because they do have the setting where you can just kind of, they automatically attack and you just are doing the input commands.
It's not clear if that's the case here, because presumably this is going to be a more complicated combat system, considering you only play as one character the whole game.
Yeah, that's true. I guess my assumption, though, would be that's kind of what it is, because I'm hoping that while you are only playing as one character, you can still be issuing commands to other characters to do certain things.
We don't know that for sure.
I know, but that's everything we're talking about is speculation at this point, and that's kind of what I would be hoping for. It's like I keep like a advanced Kingdom Hearts.
My read, yeah, like you're probably right, but my read of it was that you wouldn't be doing it. They would just do their own thing entirely, and you just sort of sort yourself out.
Let's talk about 12 again. Bring back the Gambit system.
The Gambit system was great.
You could simplify it a little bit if you want to, because Kingdom Hearts has sort of a Gambit system as well, but I think that's a good way for it to kind of feel like you're contributing to how your team is working together without actively controlling them. And for me, like that sounds sick to me. I'm glad that you're not controlling everyone, because we've, again, spoke about it ad nauseum, but that is probably one of my bigger issues with the combat system of 7 Remake.
Yeah, God, just as a quick aside, you have such like a open world to you now. Forgive the use of that term. In the form of CRPGs, the computer role-playing game. Like now you can go play games like Baldur's Gate or Pillars of Eternity 2, where those systems are still in play. Like that's where these fucking Gambit system things come from. Like you set how your party members react and how they perform. There's so many good games.
Funny you said I actually have Pillars of Eternity 2, because I think you got me to buy it once and it was on, I could play it on my Mac on Steam.
That's right. I remember that.
I don't know what it is. I just don't do it. I really wish they would hurry up and just release Knights of the Old Republic 2 so I could play that. Even though I'm kind of over Star Wars, I would play that. But look, we'll get in there maybe. Baldur's Gate 2, whatever. Okay. Now, really quickly, on a random aside, now that you've made me talk about a PC game, so I've essentially just figured out that Total War is Heroes of Might and Magic, but way more advanced.
Yeah, I think that's fairly fair to say.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's just a much more advanced version.
But look, back to Final Fantasy XVI. Stoked that there's actually going to be a party. Like whatever, it is in the DNA of Final Fantasy that there is a party system, and so it looked like there wasn't. So I'm glad that they've confirmed that there is, because it definitely was one of the main fears.
Just as a quick note, I've included the alternate to Clyde here to remind myself that yesterday I fucking published an article on pushsquare.com in which I referred to him as Clyde, which is not the name of the main character, and it was just live for hours.
It is Clive, right?
It's Clive.
Clive Palmer.
I just need to confirm that again now, because it's...
Didn't you say you had an uncle with this name?
It was my grandpa.
What's his name?
It was his middle name, actually. Rodney Clive Grono.
So it's Clive.
I just need to confirm again. I just need to know for myself. His name is Clive Rosfield, and he's the main protagonist of the game. The firstborn son of the Archduke of Rosaria. Clive.
Now, alright, now we've cleared that up. I'm glad we spent so much time on that. Isn't it strange that they felt the need to tell us that there was only going to be British voice actors in it? I thought that was the weirdest thing to say. I was like, okay, cool.
I appreciated his points. Obviously, it's all translated, so it's like, it loses a little bit of meaning, but from what I gather, it was like, Lord of the Rings set such a precedent. Now, modern audiences just think European when they think medieval fantasy. And there is something to that, like...
Well, it's because American accents didn't have a medieval time.
Well, if you want to be real nerdy, Govinda, English ones didn't either. That kind of came later, but it's more recognizable. Like, French would be a better one. That would be something that has existed for a fucking
Well, what do
really
they
long
sound
time.
like in England?
I mean, they use similar terms. They wouldn't understand the language. And that would be the case with France too, I suppose. But there's just more mixing there, because it's like the Anglo-Saxons, these are originally Germanic people. They come to fucking Britain where they got to deal with like Irish and Scottish and Gaelic people, and it's all just a fucking nightmare. And that's how we have our languages. So it's interesting. I did appreciate that Yoshida himself was like, he thought American fans would be angry if they heard American accents because it would pull them out of the fantasy.
I think it would pull me out of the fantasy, honestly. As an American. I am an American.
That is weird. I forget that. You're not really.
So, well, I am. I don't sound it, and
Legally,
I am.
but...
I've got the passport. Yeah, legally, exactly. I owe them tax that I haven't paid, probably. But it's fine.
It was interesting, though. I went back and just listened to Snow from Final Fantasy XIII, even though that's not a fantasy game. That's like a strong American accent to me, and it is weird to hear. Or even Cloud in 7 Remake, he has an American accent. Like what we're getting here.
So does Titus. This is just a medieval thing. Like it's the setting that requires the English accents.
I was just trying to think, because Balthea is incredible, but then Vaan, that's got to be an American accent, right?
Yeah, Vaan for sure is.
But Balthea is fucking on point. If everyone sounds like that.
Well, you know why, right? It was because Balthea seems like sure he's a pirate and he steals from people, but he had class and elegance, so he had to be English. Whereas Vaan was a little street rat, so he had to sound American.
He was a sky pirate, Govinda. A sky pirate.
Balthea. So I called him a pirate.
Yeah.
Like he's a pirate. So he's a,
he was a sky pirate.
So you're confirming. So he's a pirate, like I said the first time. Anyway, fucking pedanticness aside, let's keep it moving, Khayl. We got shit to talk about.
PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium is now live in Europe, and Extra and Deluxe are available in Australia and New Zealand. The service went live at the end of last week, and it's pretty cool, actually. Sony had promised over 700 titles coming to the service at the highest tiers, but according to some sleuthing done by the noble staff at Push Square, there are in fact 802 titles available. One step forward, one step back though, because we also learned that the games you have claimed via this service are only yours for as long as they remain a part of it. If the game is ever removed from the lineup, you will no longer be able to play it, even if it is downloaded to your console. Finally, the PS Plus free games coming to the service next month have leaked, and they are Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, The Dark Pictures Man of Medan, and Arcade-ageddon. Govinda, tell me about your experience with this fucking premium service. Deluxe, I mean. We have Deluxe.
So, we have Deluxe. I bought Deluxe. It literally was like $10 more for me to get Deluxe for the rest of the year than it was for me to get the premium for the rest of the year, so I was like, fuck it, let's go. I'm not super surprised that if the game leaves the service, you don't get to play it anymore. It's like Netflix.
Yeah, it's just, that had never been said publicly. They confirmed that.
Come on, guys. I think Game Pass is a similar thing. Like, they give you a heads up being like, play it while you can, and it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So I guess it's something we'll have to kind of keep an eye out on about games that are leaving and coming to the service as it goes. It's just a lot. I haven't really had a lot of time with it again. I was busy. I bought a PC. I just haven't really had a lot of time. But there is a lot of games on there. Unfortunately, for people like you and I've played all of the good ones. Most of the good ones.
Yeah, this really just makes me regret all the money I ever spent on video games, because they're all here.
Well, how are you to know? And you got your money's worth because you got to enjoy them that time, and they might not be there forever. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a rolling roster.
That's true. That makes me feel slightly better.
I see our problem again with we're in a very unique circumstance where I'm signed into your account, you're signed into my account. So, like, I was like, oh, Prey's on there, that's cool. And then I realized that, like, you have Prey.
And then I would tell you that Prey is locked at 30 on PlayStation, so you should play it on PC.
Is it actually? Oh, yeah, they haven't done they haven't done the PS5 version. So then I'm like, oh, Prey, cool, I'm not going to play it because I'll get to play it on PC and spend money on it like an idiot. So it is a good service. I think it's not that good for us, but like I think a lot of people will get a lot of benefits out of it. Like my brother got it, he was like, this is sick because there's heaps of like racing games on there that he didn't have and now he's got access to, and yeah, I don't think it's too bad. And I actually downloaded Ape Escape because I wanted to see what all this PAL NTSC bullshit was about. And we're playing the PAL version, and you can tell you are because when it comes up it says PlayStation Entertainment Europe.
Yeah.
So that's how you know you're playing PAL. If it says America, you're playing NTSC. And I actually didn't notice any issues with it. I didn't play it for very long. I played it for like 10 minutes. So take that with a grain of salt. But I also saw Sony gave an update saying that they will bring NTSC version options to the rest of the world that don't currently have them. So
it's pretty
rest
cool.
assured, you will have the choice at some point.
Yeah, I'm similar. Like, I probably spent 20 minutes just scrolling through this fucking never-ending list. And, like, there's some, like, early PS1 stuff I wouldn't mind just, like, checking out. Obviously.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, like, I'll just play it for 15 minutes and delete it. But, I don't know, things like Wild Arms or, like, I don't know, even the original Resident Evil. I saw that and I was like,
I downloaded Siphon Filter because it's one of those games that I feel like I should know about a little bit, but I just don't have any history with it at all. So I just was like, we'll see what this is fucking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it's okay. I feel like the classic game lineup feels a little bit weak for the extra money that you're paying, and I haven't tried the game trials yet. The only trial that interests me that I saw on the list was Tiny Tina.
Me too. I looked at that as well. I was like, that right?
But like, I'm probably not going to buy it, so then I don't really feel the need to try the game trial because I know what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Look, this will be an ongoing thing. We'll just talk about it as we actually get time to check it out. I did want to say, going forward with the PS Plus free games, I'm just gonna say them, and the version, like, I'm just assuming PS5 at this point. We're at a point now where like.
Well, you mean for the free PS Plus games that come out each year still? Yeah. I just assume you can play them all on PS4.
Well, you can certainly play them all
you can
on
all
PS5.
play on PS5. Yeah, not necessarily all of them. I actually think Arcade Again may only be for PS5, but I can't confirm that or deny that.
And we won't.
And we refuse to. We definitely won't. It's interesting that the Dark Pictures Man of Medan is on here right after the Quarry releases. I guess it's to see if they can rope some more people into playing the Dark Pictures anthology, but
I will say
this was one of the better ones, right?
Yeah, as the perfect lead into our next segment, I was actually scared at points in the Dark Pictures Man of Medan. A feeling I never had playing The Quarry. And now we will discuss The Quarry.
Now, heads up, full spoilers. Full spoilers. We are going to be spoiling everything and talking about... And I guess it's a subjective spoiler because my playthrough is very different to Khayl's from what I can tell. But you will find out stuff that you maybe wouldn't want to find out if you haven't played it and intend to. So, now is the point of no return. If you want to hear our review / spoilery castness of The Quarry, keep listening. If not, bow out now.
So what did you think? High level.
Boy, high level. I'm going to give you a score, like, off the bat, I reckon.
All right.
And we can talk about why I give it to you. Actually, let me pull up the...
yeah, I was like, I need to...
pull up our rubric just to be sure. Because I thought this in my head without actually reviewing our rubric. Interesting. Look, you know what? I originally was going to give this a 6.
Yeah.
But actually reading our reviews, I'm going to probably give it a 5.5.
Oh, interesting, because I was looking at, like, a 6.5. A 6.5.
Interesting. So let's really quickly, I'm going to give you a 5 that we have is an average game. Some promising ideas, but the overall experience is let down by bad game design or technical issues. And then a 6 is a solid effort that will appeal to fans of the genre, but is held back or let down by some aspects of its design. And a 7 is a strong showing that is easy to recommend, but not necessarily for everyone. I couldn't give it a 6.5 because I don't think I'd really be recommending this to many people, personally.
I actually kind of would. Like, I would recommend this to a casual player because it seems geared to one. Like, it's certainly dumbed down from what Until Dawn did. Like, it's certainly easier and more forgiving, or at least in my experience, but we're going to get into that.
But yeah, I guess so. I just think that like there were just design issues that were really odd, and a lot of it for me came down to the writing, which seemed really strange, like tonally all over the place. I didn't know, like, was it a comedy? Was it a horror? Like, what are they trying to achieve here? Did you notice that every time you're walking somewhere that could be scary, they have to break it up with this weird little segment where the two characters will stand next to each other and not walk. They'll stop walking for some reason, and they'll just have this like weird, like awkward, corny one-liners to each other?
Not really. Not really.
Dude, it happens so much, especially towards the end of the game where I feel like it's building to like its inevitable climax, and it's just constantly they're like saying these corny one-liners and have stopped walking to where they're going to do so. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
yeah.
Someone's dying. People are dying around you. Like, you don't understand it. And I mentioned it last week, and that was the other big issue I had is these characters just don't seem to be really understanding what the situation they're in. There's no sense of urgency. They're just like, what's up, man? Oh, you left me. Like, just weird. Just so weird. Like, just missed it completely. And ruins the pacing.
The worst contender here was Aaron and I's favorite character for most of the game, who was Dylan. And he's just kind of like, I don't know, he's kind of like the goofy guy a little bit, but he's like, I don't know, a little bit sensitive too. And he doesn't know what the fuck is going on, especially after like, and again, we already said the spoiler things, like, did you cut his, I think we both cut his hand off. How did you do it?
Yeah, look, this is where we're really going to show problems here because I don't remember exactly what I did. I'm pretty sure I used the chainsaw.
Which is so funny because I was like, the choice is chainsaw or shotgun. And in my mind, I was like, it's so fucked up to use a chainsaw on your friend.
Well, see, my thought, I needed a clean cut, right? Like, I'm like, you do a shotgun and it's not going to be a nice clean cut. And I can't guarantee one shotgun shell is going to clean it off. It's going to fuck your wrist up. Well, in the game it did, of course. But my logical brain making the decision, I was like, it's going to leave your hand hanging off and all mangled and cooked, and you'll have to, like, rip it off or cut it with a chainsaw anyway. So
I can't remember. I think they maybe cauterize it or something, but it's certainly, like, it's fine. Like, he doesn't, and I guess we should have said, like, werewolves. This is a game about werewolves. You don't know that initially, but yes, you're bitten, and the advice you're given is to separate the limb, the afflicted limb.
Well, to be fair, they didn't get that advice until after they did it.
That's true as well.
They get the advice in the pool house. So, look, I just think even, like, Dylan's in the Radio Shack trying to give out, like, an SOS because his friend is maybe dying and was attacked by something, and he's just, like, making jokes about it on the radio. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Specifically, that scene is the worst example of it. And actually, that's another thing. Like, before that, like, when the I suppose it's Chris's daughter, is shot outside the pool house, I had no idea who that was or what was happening. But just a person was shot, they fell in the pool, you don't really get to see them, and we were so confused about what was happening.
Yeah, this is strange because we spoke about this, and I kind of like, I saw in my head, and maybe I made this up, but I saw Laura take a shot and something fall. So to me, I was like, oh, so it's like, I knew at that point immediately when they found the girl in the pool, I was like, oh, it's werewolves.
I'd actually, because of course I had Govinda, I'd already puzzled this out earlier on. And I can't remember exactly when, but I was very proud of myself and I kept rubbing it in Aaron's face.
Oh, you would do this. Yeah. Look, I don't know. To me, the whole game felt like really stuttery, like not performance stuttery. I mean, just the story and the pacing of it was, things were happening. It was really slow burn. Like it took 6 to 7 chapters out of 10 to really feel like the story was moving. And it just felt like crazy stuff was happening, and then all of a sudden I'm walking so slowly and awkwardly around these environments trying to just find fucking tarot cards that didn't do anything.
Yeah, they were really weird this time around. Like, supposedly that gives you a glimpse of what's coming, but it was so fucking vague, and it wouldn't, like, it not even once did it help me or us.
And the problem is you get someone like me who is like borderline OCD, I swear, and I literally was like, well, now I have to circumnavigate this entire fucking map so that I can find this card. because I'll be disappointed if I miss it. And so I'm just walking, like the way they walk in the world is just so slow and random. And I was laughing at it because it just looked funny. Like if you turn on a dime, you just
And like that translates to the werewolves themselves, who look so shit. They might be the worst werewolves I've ever seen in any fiction. They were just not scary. They all look the same, which I suppose is intentional because then you kind of forget which of your friends is a werewolf if and when they get turned, and just a weird. And I want to say, I wanted it to be great. And that opening section that you have with like the couple, Laura and Max, like when they arrive that first night, like that was good stuff. I was into all that, like with the fucking creepy cop. Yeah, the creepy cop, that whole thing was very eerie and strange. And then you get the fucking doofuses the next day. Like, let's have a party, dude.
So the interesting thing is, right, so this all kicks off because Jacob is super into Emma. And so the day they're meant to be leaving the camp, which is obviously the night of that night is the full moon, and this is at the start of the story. Jacob's like, no, but I really like her, and she's saying that we're over, but I just don't want it to be over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sabotage our van so that we can all stay here an extra night, and I get to bang Emma one more time. That's pretty much the subtext of it all. Actually, maybe not even subtext.
It's explicit.
And so when it gets to the end, right, obviously, I assume Jacob and Emma got back together at the very end. And I don't mean like they didn't hook up. They were like physically together at the end of the game for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on that quickly before I forget. So the thing with the car and the sabotaging, which one did you do?
Did it matter?
Apparently it does. So we did the, I don't know, the fucking, not the fuel line one, whatever I'm not good with the cars.
I'm pretty sure I did the fuel line.
So apparently if you do the fuel line, there's a chance the car can catch fire, which can fuck you up later on.
It didn't.
It can though. Yeah, we did the other one. We took the fucking monkey nut or something, and that was an issue. Like, did you have to go to the scrapyard then to fix that?
No, I didn't have to go to a scrapyard. Didn't seem to change anything. And I could be wrong. Like, maybe I fucking took the rotor arm, but I'm pretty sure I broke the fuel line.
Wait, so you didn't go to the scrapyard at all? Like, we had this whole thing.
What did you have to do at the scrapyard?
You go there, and apparently this can happen, like, Caitlin can go on her own, but we had it was Caitlin and Dylan.
Oh, no, we did go to the scrapyard, and that's where all the lights are turning on, like the...
Yes.
And you're in you get into you see the car.
The crane.
And you've got to, the magnet crane thing with the car attached to it. Is that where she died for you?
No. Yeah, so I guess we should say as well, like, for me, I had Nick, who actually has a pretty decent Australian accent. I was pretty into that. That's like a thing.
Oh, okay, so I gave him full credit. He must have been an actual Australian, because at one point he said, that's a cop-out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's the best Australian vernacular I've ever heard in anything. Yeah, he must be actually Australian.
So we killed him when he was a werewolf, so he died. Mm-hmm. Although I guess he died, but I don't really count it. I guess I do. And then
you shot him with a shotgun, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, and then Caitlin at the very end, just confirming a name, Abigail had passed Caitlin the silver shotgun rounds, and Caitlin, you have a chance to shoot this final werewolf, right? I'm blanking on which one it is, but it's like in the cabin.
It's really confusing about who's who. Like,
yeah,
my Abigail got her neck ripped out by a werewolf, and I could not tell you which one it was. I'm pretty sure it was Emma when she was a werewolf, because I think it said it at the end.
Yeah,
but it was brutal. Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, our Caitlin, we had a shot. Like, you get one shot, and if you shoot it, she would have lived. The werewolf would have died, and Erin flubbed it.
Well, she would. She's not a shooter person. But anyway, look, you've sidetracked me long enough. All right. So anyway, at the end of after he sabotages the car, at the end of the game, Emma and what's his face, Emma and Jacob get back together. Like, they're back together in the scene again. They're not hooking up. They're not back together as a couple. They're just together in the scene. And you have the choice to come clean about you being the one that sabotaged the car.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Yeah, and you got a trophy for it.
Yeah. He just literally no one to blame but himself. Like, he caused all of his friends to die. Because for me, a lot of people died.
Yeah, I was shocked to look afterwards how close so many of my characters came to dying, and we just managed to, like, just save them through happenstance. Like a good example was Emma when she's sort of on her own on the island, sort of early on in the game, and she's getting chased. Oh no, she hasn't even seen the werewolf yet. You go into like this tower, and there's like a trap door to get up to like the top of the tower kind of thing. And there's just like some junk in the tower as well. And we just happened to look at it. I think that's where you get the bear spray. And yeah, if you had just walked in and opened the door, she immediately dies. There's like no chance to save it. And we just happened to like be like, oh, all right, better just like look at that. And yeah, I was kind of shocked. Jacob as well, early on, there's like a bit where, you know, someone's pointing a gun into a bush and you have the option to like take a shot. Apparently, if you pull that trigger, he immediately dies there too. And that's like...
Oh, that's Jacob in the bush.
Yeah, that's like chapter 2 or something, or 3.
And we seem like we're slamming this, which we kind of are. But there was parts of it that I like. Like I like the idea of... I like the premise of the story, that there's like this family there, the Hackett's, and one of theirs has turned into a werewolf, and you need to kill the werewolf that bit them to turn them back.
Whoa.
I like the...
Just quickly, my understanding is that most of the Hackett's are werewolves. Is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. Only one of them is. Only
3
Chris
of them
is.
are. And also his children, Khayl and Caleb, are both werewolves.
Well, Chris and the children are, yes. But no one else is, because they are obviously in a full moon and not werewolves.
All right, let's say half the family is werewolves then.
I don't include the children because you never see them. They just... You see one dead in a bush.
No, Caleb can kill several of your characters.
But you don't interact with them, you don't play them, you never actually see them as humans. Except when she's dead in the water in the pool.
No, I guess I just push back on that they can definitely kill you. Like, you can
I'm not down they can kill you. They are werewolves. They're in the game. They are werewolves for sure. But they're not... I don't include them because, like... I'm talking about the family that you see as humans at some point in the game.
Again, you can save Caleb, and there's a trophy for that too. Like, you can actually save him and turn him human again.
Yeah, nah, I shot him in the face. But I like the premise where, like, the Hackett's, there's this family, and the people in their family are werewolves, so they will lock them up during a full moon, and then they'll go try and find the original werewolf and kill them to bring their family back, whatever.
Except,
and then there's this...
Apparently, for this time, when they just... All 3 of the people that are werewolves, they don't lock them up. And that's the game.
That's not true. Chris is locked up.
Chris is, but where are the kids? Like, why aren't they in the cages too when you get there?
The timeline's weird. I think that's a very new thing. Like, I think the kids are newly turned.
I don't know, because the idea is... I think this might be explained, but again, like, presumably they've done this before. Like, this should not be some fucking half-done thing. Everyone should be accounted for.
The reason that Caleb and Kaylee are, like, I'm assuming, are newly turned is because they have to have an excuse as to why they're not at the camp. So it means that, like, last year they were there. So they're like, hey, where are they this year? And they're like, they were away doing something.
That doesn't make any sense because summer camp is like 4 months. Like, they've been there for months. Where were they the whole time?
But they asked that already, like, at the start. They were like, where are they? And they're like, oh, they're gone. Like,
but, like, they only become werewolves for one night.
A month.
Yeah, so where were they for the whole 3 months? Why weren't they at camp?
Well, they were probably turned before this summer camp.
But again, like, why aren't they there during the days when they're not a werewolf? They could still be a normal person, just like Chris, going about their business at the camp.
Well, that's one of the many plot holes in this game, probably.
There's so many, if you really just push a little bit.
But now, if you just let me fucking finish my
I'm sorry, I had
thoughts,
a great point.
Right? So I like the premise of this family,
right.
And I think this game... trying to save their other family members by doing stuff, but the family themselves are kind of backwater rednecks and they are kind of scary, and that is the main point in this game is you don't really know what they're doing until the very end, so they're scary every time you see them, in theory, even though they're not that scary. Now, you've got Constance Hackett, who is like the mum, and there is a very specific turning point in the game where you are playing as Laura, and you are fighting over a shotgun with Constance, and I don't know if it can go the other way, but I blew Constance's head off accidentally. And the entire family turns on you, and it is brutal. And I think that was the best part of the game, and I feel like that's like the last chapter or the last 2 chapters. And I was playing it being like, man, if only this game was like this from like chapter 3, I would have enjoyed it so much more.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard, because like, I think in the moment, we were enjoying ourselves. It's just like afterwards, if you think about it too hard, Like there's a moment apparently, and we didn't actually see this, but I read about it afterwards, like where Jacob gets caught in like a trap, like a fucking rope trap, and Bobby comes out and like you can like throw dirt at him or whatever. Apparently, like you can have Nick surprise him, shoot him with a shotgun, and then that was like kind of a weird inconsistency. Like he just doesn't show any damage from the shotgun blast. And Bobby is big, but he's not a werewolf. And you don't just get to be shot with and like no blood or anything. It's just kind of like they forgot or they like didn't account for that or...
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of inconsistencies. And I think, look, I don't know. The last 2 chapters I really enjoyed because I felt like I was constantly like, what the fuck's going on? And then there's this really weird bit where Laura's getting chased by a werewolf and she's running out of a window onto the roof of a house. And she's like not running fast and the werewolf is going so slow. And like the timings between when she gets out the window, like you see them in the room together and she gets out the window and she runs across the whole roof and the werewolf is just like going so slowly. I'm like, what? You've lost all suspense now because I just don't believe what's happening because the werewolf is barely even trying to chase her. And I was like, what? This game is just, it is flawed.
That,
severely
by the way,
flawed. That
is Caleb. And I took the other route. Like you went out the window. We went over the beams. You can like balance over the beams and go that way. There's an interesting thing that can happen there. And then we fell down and that's where Caitlin died. But apparently there's like a way where you can lure him into the kitchen and distract him with a toy that you set up earlier in the game and you can lock him into the freezer, the werewolf. And then if you, at the end, ultimately like revert him back to his human form, he can die because suddenly he's a human
He's
boy.
in the freezer.
Yeah. So there are some cool consequences that can happen that...
Yeah, but at the same time, they take choices away from you and they just force them down your throat because that's the way the story has to go sometimes. It feels really strange. And look, overall, I liked the end of it. I enjoyed it. And then I guess the anticlimactic bit at the very end where you find Silas and he's just like asleep and you just blow a hole in his back while he's asleep. And it was like, it's over. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and I just,
okay.
I don't understand some of the decisions because like who does not shoot him? Like, what is that choice to not shoot him? Like, why would you ever do that?
You can play it again to find out.
Well, I know what happens because I read about it all. Like, if you don't shoot him, I think everyone there dies. He, like, gets up and just fucking freaks out. There is some options you could have done earlier to do with Bobby to get a vial of werewolf blood and someone can put the blood on them before you get to him and they will survive. But that's, like, considered... I don't know that it's a good ending, but, like... Because if you did what you did, which is what I did, killing him, his mum still haunts the area. And this is a whole fucking other thing I could get into. Like, the mum and the concept of ghosts in this world. Erin hates this, but I went on a whole fucking tear about there's no setup for ghosts in this universe. Like, yeah, well, there's werewolves. But she's just, like, appearing places. She's, like, haunting things. Why? Why is she a ghost? Why is no one else that dies a ghost? It's just like one too many monsters. Like, why does she have to be a haunted old lady on top of the werewolf?
I think you're overthinking it, dude.
No, it's just, I don't see what it serves.
Well, she's a ghost.
I mean, and like she kind of set the whole thing off because why did she drive the fucking kids off the road at the very start of the game? You know how they thought they hit like an animal?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Like, why is she just... No, it was
she
the
didn't
mum.
drive them off the road. It was Silas. They even mentioned that towards the end of the game.
You see her. Like, it's an old woman. You see the old woman.
No, because they talk about Silas being a white wolf, and they were like, that's what ran us off the road. Because Silas was always the wolf boy.
I like that they actually call him the wolf boy.
Yeah. Anyway, look, dude, I don't really have too much more to say. I will say the last time we spoke about this, I said the game looks shit, and it does sometimes, but also sometimes it looks really good, and it's really weird, and I can't kind of consolidate that in my brain. Because every close-up in this game, I'm like, damn, this looks really good. And then they do a wide shot, and I'm like, this looks bad. It all fell apart.
The voice acting was pretty good, I think, and like the audio in general.
I think the voice acting was good. I think the writing was lackluster.
But that must be so hard to like try and... I mean... People have pulled it off, like, you know, this has been done before, but it must be really difficult to try and have those scenes flow together well. Like, because it's funneling through like certain choices. Characters might be coming in where they should be scared or happy, and it's like hard to jump to that next scene.
Yeah, look, my problem is like, look, I look at this in a few ways. I like the gameplay. I think is pretty average because I think the quick time events are very samey. There's only like a few of different kinds of quick time events, and walking around the world is not interesting really. No. And sometimes you get into things where you find something in the world and you want to do something with it, but you can't because you're blocked off because it hasn't been designed for. I think the writing is relatively average most of the time, with some high points in there sometimes. And I think with those two combined, it's just like not what I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'll be interested to see how the next Dark Pictures goes, because I don't know, I feel like I enjoyed at least one of those games, maybe as much as this. Maybe not more, but maybe as much as this. And they're much smaller budget, you know. I
don't know. I just think like maybe is Until Dawn as good as I remember it being, or is it actually average?
That's what I was saying last week. No, I think it was really good. It's just, it was a while ago. And clearly, it's still what everyone measures this against. So it must have been pretty good.
Anyway.
On that note, Govinda, I'm so fucking sick. I need to go douse my head.
Yeah, you've been killing me this episode. If you don't hear one cough, you can thank me later, people.
That would be
we're both
miracle.
coughing up a lung. I reckon I can do it. I might leave a couple in just so they know that it was there. You know what I mean? But anyway, this has been episode 56 of Long Live Play, and it has been the absolute sickest episode that we've ever done. Absolute sickest. One of the worst, but definitely one of the sickest. So take that as you will. I'm so tired, dude. I have a headache still. I'm having a bad time. So
let's go rest.
I've been
we'll
half
back.
of me. Kale's been half of him, and I'm going to try and harass him to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with me later.
It might happen. Goodbye.